Okay, so when you close your eyes and you picture the Russian military command, what's the first image that comes to mind?
Oh, that's easy. It's a Cold War movie.
Right. It's a massive concrete bunker, deep underground, giant map of the world on the wall with all the little blinking lights.
And the room is just filled with generals. Very stern-looking generals.
Exactly. Stern faces, maybe a haze of cigarette smoke, red phones ringing everywhere. It's this super rigid top-down hierarchy.
The Red Storm Rising aesthetic, for sure. It's what we all grew up expecting.
It feels monolithic.
Yeah?
But what if I told you that the reality on the ground in Ukraine right now,
Mm-hmm.
how they're actually fighting, looks less like a scene from Dr. Strangelove and more like, I don't know, a chaotic LAN party in a college dorm.
That is a very vivid image, but honestly, it's not that far off.
We're talking about soldiers coordinating massive artillery strikes using, get this, hiking apps they downloaded from the Google Play Store, units chatting on gamer platforms to organize attacks, tablets running software built by volunteers, not the government.
It's a huge contrast, and that's exactly what we're unpacking today. We've got this fascinating report from the CSIS Wadhwani AI Center.
Yeah, this just came out, February 2026. It's called How Russia is Reshaping Command and Control for AI-Enabled Warfare by Katerina Bondar.
And the goal here is to really understand the mechanics of what's happening.
Right. Our mission for this deep dive is to look past the scary headlines and see how Russia is, well, abandoning what you might call technological elegance, the perfect, shiny billion-dollar system.
In favor of something scrappy.
Scrappy, fragmented, but dangerously effective. It's a story about speed versus structure, really. How a major military power is rewriting its entire command architecture, not because they wanted to,
but because the war forced them to.
And before we get into the hiking apps and the gamer chats, which I still can't quite wrap my head around, I do want to mention something critical. We're going to be talking a lot about data security and what happens when you use unsecured tools in these high-stakes environments. And you might not be coordinating artillery, but if you're running an organization, your data is your lifeblood.
You don't want to improvise on security.
Definitely not. That's why we're supported today by www.citomarketplace.com. If you need to secure your organization's perimeter or vet your vendors, that is the place to start.
Good advice.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Section 1. What we could call the Death Star concept.
Yeah, to understand where Russia is now, you have to understand where they started. For decades, their dream, and really the dream of any major military, was this thing called the ACCS.
The Automated Command and Control System. Sounds very official.
And very expensive. Think of it as a system of systems. The goal was one massive centralized digital environment.
So every sensor, every tank, every satellite, all linked into one seamless network.
Exactly. It's very similar to the Western concept of JADC2.
The idea being that a general in Moscow clicks a button, sees what a drone sees, and tells it what to do. Total integration.
That was the theory. A singularity of command. But here's the reality check from the report. The war in Ukraine completely broke that concept.
It just shattered it.
Shattered it. Centralized modernization just couldn't keep up with the pace of actual combat.
But wait, why? Isn't the whole point of a centralized system to increase speed? You have all the data in one place.
The friction was just too high, but the specific thing that really broke the system was drones.
How did small flying robots break this massive command system?
It's the sheer volume and diversity. I mean, the report notes that unmanned systems drones now conduct up to 80% of Russian fire missions.
80%.
Yeah. They're hitting something like 300 targets a day.
Wow.
But the technical problem is what we call heterogeneity. You've got 1,000 different types of drones, commercial DJIs, military-grade hotels, custom-built FPV drones.
And they all speak a different digital language.
Precisely. The DJI drone speaks, Chinese commercial tongue. The radio speaks 1980s Soviet code. And the Death Star speaks modern Russian military standard. They just don't talk to each other.
So the old system couldn't handle that mess.
Couldn't handle it. If you're waiting for the Death Star to process your fire request, the target's already gone.
So the soldiers on the ground can see the target right there on their screen, but the official system is still buffering.
Basically, yeah. So they had to pivot. They moved away from the one giant system and started building what the report calls tactical, task-specific software.
They stopped trying to build a perfect machine and just started building apps that work.
Which brings us to your MacGyver phase.
It really is.
Yeah.
Because when the official tech failed, the soldiers, They went shopping.
They improvised. And the biggest example of this is an app called Alpine Quest.
Alpine Quest. That sounds like something I'd use to find a trail in the mountains.
That's exactly what it is. It's a civilian off-road navigation app. But Russian troops realized it had one key feature: offline mapping.
Which is critical, because you don't have internet in a war zone.
Or you don't want to be pinging a server. With Alpine Quest, you download the map, pin a target, plan a route, share it via Bluetooth. It became the de facto standard.
So a nuclear power is using a $5 hiking app to fight a war.
And it gets stranger, they were using Discord.
Hold on. Discord. You're telling me they were running fire control on the same chat app my nephew uses to talk about Elden Ring?
The very same. They were streaming live video feeds from their drones to their commanders, using voice channels to coordinate artillery.
I'm just picturing a general yelling because his artillery coordinates got buried under a bunch of memes. It's absurd.
It is, but from their perspective, it was easy, it worked on their phones, it had low latency, and it was free. When you're under fire, free and working beats secure but broken every single time.
But the security implications, I mean, that's a nightmare, right?
A catastrophe waiting to happen. The report details how a compromised version of Alpine Quest started circulating. It had spyware.
And it was stealing what?
GPS logs, contact lists, files. It was exfiltrating their positions.
So that's not just stealing data, that's painting a target on their backs.
Exactly. And with Discord, well, the Russian government actually banned the platform themselves in 2024. But ironically, that disrupted their own tribes who were relying on it.
It's the classic convenience versus security trade-off, which actually is a good reminder for everyone listening. We all use apps we probably shouldn't for work because they're fast or easy.
Shadow IT is a huge problem.
It is. Using unsecured tools is a recipe for disaster. If you want to understand how to keep your personal and professional data locked down, check out www.myprivacy.blog. It's a great resource to make sure you aren't leaking the GPS logs of your own life.
So the military sees all this chaos, the hiking apps, the Discord chats, and they realize they can't just ban these tools.
Because the troops needed them.
Right. So they decided to institutionalize the chaos. They built their own versions.
And this is where we get the Glaz-Groza complex.
Glaz and Groza, the eye and the thunderstorm.
Okay, that's a bit more intimidating. Walk me through it. How does a soldier actually use this?
This is the aha moment of the report, the digital kill chain. So imagine you're a drone operator. You have the Glaz software installed on your controller.
Okay, I'm the operator. I see a tank hiding in a tree line on my screen.
You see the tank, you tap on it once. Glaz instantly extracts the exact coordinates from the drone's telemetry.
And then what?
And here's the magic. It sends that data instantly to a fire control officer who's holding a tablet running Groza, the thunderstorm.
So no more radioing coordinates over a static-filled line.
No voice comms needed. On the Groza tablet, that target just pops up on a digital map. The software has all the ballistics data. It auto-calculates range, elevation, wind.
It tells the artillery exactly where to aim.
Yes, and that is the key metric. The report says this system reduced the time from target detection to impact, from hours to minutes.
From hours to minutes. That is terrifyingly efficient.
It is. It just removes all the bureaucracy. And to replace the hiking app, they built ZOV maps. Same offline geospatial layers, but without the spyware risk.
You know, it sounds like they're gamifying war. Point, click, shoot.
That is a very astute observation. And it leads us right into the next major finding, the data harvesting machine.
Right, because if everyone is using these apps, you're generating a ton of data. The report mentions a visit by the defense minister in August 2025. What was that about?
He was inspecting a new unified database. But the twist is they aren't just tracking targets, they're tracking the pilots.
The drone pilots.
Individually.
Yep. Every single drone video is linked to a pilot's unique personal ID.
That feels dystopian. Why would they do that?
Well, think about it. You're not just a soldier. You now have a batting average. Instructors can see your performance trajectory. Is pilot X getting better? Is pilot Y getting worse? It's like Moneyball for artillery.
So the algorithm knows if your performance drops before your commander does. Exactly. But there's a second, more important reason. All that video data, thousands of hours of strikes, is being fed directly into training their neural networks.
So every time a soldier uses this app, they are teaching the computer how to do it better next time.
Correct. They are building the data set to automate the war. And they're trying to formalize it all with a new system called SVOD, which is an attempt to make these loose tools into the government standard.
You mentioned training the AI. When we hear AI warfare, we think Skynet. How smart is this Russian AI, really?
It's a mixed bag. The consensus in the report is that they have eyes, but they don't have brains.
Okay, eyes versus brains. Unpack that.
On the visual side, computer vision, they're very mature. TRL 6 to 9. Technology readiness level 9 is fully operational.
So good at seeing things, identifying a tank versus a truck.
Very good. They have a software environment called Platform GNS that they give to defense companies for free just to train neural networks on object recognition. This is what's used for terminal guidance in their loitering munitions.
So the drone knows what a tank looks like and can steer itself in for the final attack.
Exactly. That's the eyes, the brains. Textual AI, natural language processing, that's the weak spot. TRL 1 to 3, basically experimental.
Why is text so much harder for them than video?
Because the Russian military runs on paperwork, reports, orders, endless text, and their AI struggles to understand the nuance and command intent in that bureaucracy. It can identify a shape, but it can't think through a complex written order.
So the drone can blow up the tank, but it can't follow the report afterwards.
It's essentially, yes.
Yeah.
And here's where it gets really interesting, especially for the tech geeks listening. They aren't building these models from scratch. The report explicitly says they are adapting open-weight commercial models.
You mean like stuff we can just download?
Exactly. They're using Llama, Mistral, and Chinese models like Qwen.
Wait, Llama, that's Meta's model. That's from Facebook.
It is.
So the Russian military is optimizing its kill chain using code released by a Silicon Valley giant.
That's the reality of open source AI. Once the weights are out there, anyone can use them. They're just taking these commercial models and running them on secure, local servers on-premise. They're not trying to build a Russian GPT-4 from zero.
That's a smart, if a little scary, strategy. It also speaks to the challenge of managing your tech stack. I mean, it's hard enough for a company to decide between open source and proprietary.
It's a huge challenge. Integrating those tools securely is difficult. You have to make sure the model isn't calling home, that there are no backdoors.
Which is another great reason to check out www.cisomarketplace.com. Whether you're managing sensitive internal data or just trying to keep your vendors secure, they have the resources you need. You don't want to be figuring out your security stack while you're under attack.
Definitely not. You need to vet those tools beforehand.
I want to touch on the human element. We talked about apps and AI, but who is building them? Is this some top-secret lab in Siberia?
No, and this is one of the most critical findings. The most effective tools are coming from the volunteer ecosystem. Civilian engineers.
Just regular coders.
Regular coders, often working for free or through crowdfunding. They build a tool, like Glaz. It gets used in the field, it works. Then the military says, okay, we'll take that. And now it's being taught in formal military academies.
So it's a bottom-up innovation cycle that is so different from the Western model, which is usually these giant top-down defense contracts.
It is. It's faster, but it's messier. But they are trying to standardize the platform. The report mentions a huge shift to Astra Linux. Their domestic operating system. They are ruthlessly removing Microsoft Windows from the equation.
And technological sovereignty.
Exactly. If you're running your kill chain on Windows and Microsoft bricks your license, or the NSA has a backdoor, you have a massive problem. So they're moving everything to this domestic Linux build. Less user-friendly, but it's theirs.
Okay, so let's zoom out. What does this all mean? We started with the Death Star, this big perfect system, and we ended up with volunteers coding Linux apps and using Facebook's AI models.
The summary is that Russia isn't building a perfect machine. It's messy, it's fragmented, but it is fast. They are prioritizing the kill chain above all else. They don't care if the code is elegant, they care if it makes the artillery hit the target faster.
And they're happy to steal or adapt whatever works to get it done.
Precisely. The key takeaway here isn't that Russia has some superweapon, it's that they have learned to respect the speed of data. They're turning battlefield video into software updates faster than almost anyone else right now.
Because they've stripped away all the bureaucracy.
All of it.
That's a sobering thought. We think of modernization as buying the newest jet or the biggest carrier. But maybe modernization in 2026 is just how fast you can update your app.
That is the question, isn't it? Can a rigid, expensive system beat a cheap, adaptable one?
Here's a final thought to leave you with. If Russia is successfully running a massive war effort using adapted commercial AI and hiking-style maps, what does that say about the billions of dollars other nations are spending on rigid, proprietary military software that takes a decade to build? Are we building Ferraris for a race that's being won by go-karts?
That is the multi-billion-dollar question, and I don't think anyone has the answer yet.
Something to think about. A huge thank you to our sponsors for this deep dive, www.cisomarketplace.com and www.myprivacy.blog. In a world of digital warfare, keeping your own data secure is the first line of defense.
Stay safe out there.
Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive. We'll see you next time.